Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Chris. That's Megan. And we are here to give you part one of a special Thanksgiving Touchback podcast. So, this is what we're going to do for this week is going to focus on the holiday games. So, Thursday and Friday games. And then on Saturday, we are going to go ahead and be focusing on the rest of the week and do our normal run like we usually do. So let's get to it. The Thanksgiving weekend games, as we always know, you have Detroit, Dallas, and then the specialty game for Thursday. So that's normal. And then you have a special game on Friday. So let's break down each of these matchups. Green Bay versus Detroit. What I like to see here is for Green Bay to, find their offense again. That's kind of where I think that they need to just get the ball rolling. Micah Parsons is doing what he wants to do, and that's what you expect. But let's start seeing Romeo Dobbs start catching the ball a little bit more. Let's get Golden in the game plan a little bit more as well, because Josh Jacobs should be making it back this week, which should take a load off of that offensive passing attack. Megan, what do you think about Detroit in the game?
Well, I was gonna kind of go off of both teams for a second and just talk about how this is a pivotal NFC North matchup. If you've spent any time looking at the NFC North teams, um, they're a lot more competitive this year than they have been in years past. So for both of these teams to be playing on Thanksgiving, it's really important for the playoff contention. Um, Also with the Lions, we have Jameer Gibbs, who is really, really
Killing it.
um what?
He's killing it right now.
He is killing it. And it's really tough to stop him. And like you said with Michael Parsons, we'll have to see if they're able to wrap him up or anything. But the Lions game is based off of what Jameer Gibbs can do. So I really am excited to see what he can do. Jared Goff, as always, is kind of hit or miss on whether or not he has a good game. If you remember from last week, Sam Laporta is out. So we want to make sure that we're giving him a lot of different targets to get that ball to. But yeah, that's what I have for Lions this week.
It should be a great match. I've always loved the 1 p.m. matchup. But that does bring us to the Dallas Cowboys, who are coming back from a massive win last week. But they're facing another team that also squeaked out a really good win tonight. They're a desperate win, to be real honest, in Kansas City. So, biggest news about Kansas City this week is that Isaiah Pacheco is coming back. That is the biggest news out of Kansas City. You will not have Noah Gray, so expect Travis Kelce to get all of that. All of that feeding that Mahomes will be doing will go straight to Noah Gray. The Kansas City offense should be able to move the ball pretty well against Dallas's pass defense. They are ranked in the top 3 worst pass defenses in the league currently. So I expect Mahomes and Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and even Travis Kelce, yes, to actually be able to do something, because remember, they are still out of the playoffs right now. Their backs are against the wall, so it's gun ho. They have to win essentially everything, or they're not going to make the playoffs this year. What do you think about Dallas?
Same thing on this one. Don't forget about Isaiah Pacheco with the Kansas City Chiefs. He is supposed to be back this week. But again, I don't know that I would start him like I've said in previous podcasts because he's really hit or miss, and after an injury, it's even worse. Um, as far as the Cowboys are concerned, you hit the nail on the head with their secondary being completely passed over when it comes to the Chiefs this week. I would definitely not play Cowboys defense if you have them. Um, if you're going to pick anybody on the Cowboys, I would probably stick with Dak. But yeah, I'm expecting this to be a close game just because both teams are kind of middle of the the field as far as NFL teams this year. But I also am expecting I don't know what to expect with the Cowboys other than Dak is hit or miss.
Since you're expecting Dak to do okay, do you have a favorite receiver on CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens?
Um, again, I feel like it's week to week. Sometimes we have CD Lamb who's having a monstrous game. I feel like it was his game last week. And then George Pickens, is when CD Lamb was out, it was the George Pickens game. So we know that George Pickens can play. We know that um CD Lamb can play, really, but it's really just a matter of who Jack feels like throwing it to. Um, but if I was to pick one, I would probably pick George Pickens because I like the way he plays better.
All right, off to Baltimore. It's another rivalry game with the Cincinnati Bengals, who somehow are still in playoff contention going into this against Baltimore, who
I don't know
just
how.
took over the AFC North. So I mean, it's kind of crazy where Baltimore's been ever since their bye week. But with the Cincinnati Bengals, they're getting that big boost that we kind of expected last week, and Joe Burrow is expected to play here. Both teams have injuries, but because Burrow is back, I just expect Jamar Chase and Mike Gesicki to really have an uptick in passing because we're not going to have a T Higgins like we'll talk about in.
Yeah, for sure. Jamar Chase also back from suspension, and I'm expecting him to play exactly as he's told to. Because it feels like he has a lot of bringing back the fans and his team and everybody to make up for his stupid foul from a couple of weeks ago. As far as the Ravens are concerned, I I'm glad to see that Lamar didn't have any rust from his couple weeks off for injuries. I feel like he's really spent a lot of time throwing to Mark Andrews, and I think that if you look at the Bengals defense, they really suffer when it comes to you know covering those tight ends. So I would play Mark Andrews if he's on your fantasy team this week. Keep saying year. I don't know why.
Year, week. I mean, Mark Andrews throughout the year is usually a good pick either way. But that does bring us to our final Black Friday game. It is only one game. It's a 12:30 p.m. game. Actually, let's that. It is not a game. It is a 3 p.m. game. So we will go ahead and make sure that you turn it on at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So it's Chicago versus Philly. Chicago is the hottest team in the NFL right now. Honestly, they
Unbelievable.
are leading their division. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are, like we say every single week, are just hitting on all cylinders, and it's kind of that's where they go. And honestly, that's the only player that I would really rely on to maybe do something. But that Philly defense is really, really tough. So, I Chicago's a good pick overall, and it should be a fun game. But from fantasy value, just be very cautious on picking any Chicago.
Sh Any Chicago Bears, really?
Yeah. The Philly defense. I think the Philly defense can was going to get to them a lot more. And
Did you
that's
watch the game last week?
I did, but also Chicago decided to go lights out. And I mean, if you look at who they were playing last week, it really wasn't anybody that they should have lost to anyway. But
100%.
Philly, they are coming off of a absolute just embarrassment of a game by letting go 21 points to the Dallas Cowboys. So they're
Yeah,
going to be coming in with a fire.
maybe. I mean, they've been really inconsistent this year, which is really sad for a Super Bowl champion. Yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley you know, was supposed to be an MVP last year, and he's really hit or miss this year. I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's um Jalen. I don't know what the reason is, but I don't feel like he is near the running back that he was last year. If I was to pick a player this week to watch and to put on my team as far as Bears at Eagles, I probably would pick AJ Brown.
Oh
Um,
wow. Okay.
uh, Devontae Smith is potentially sidelined with an injury, and I expect AJ Brown to pick up all the slack. And if you've watched games in the past, we've seen him come alive when pressure's on. And like you said, the pressure should be on after last.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that that's a good call. That's not who I thought you were going to end up picking, but that is a
Who'd you think I
great.
was gonna
I
pick?
honestly I thought maybe you would have said Mike Goddard or Dallas Goddard, excuse me. Mike, I think Mike Gesicki still. But yeah, I was thinking you were going to go Dallas Goddard because Chicago's right now, the middle of their defense is just they don't have any starters in the middle of their defense. They're all backup linebackers right now. So it should be an interesting game. It's gonna be two heavyweights battling. So remember, it's a 3 o'clock game, not a 12:30 game.
And
But
on Friday, not Thursday.
right, exactly. I at least got that part right.
Great job.
So let's go ahead and talk about the quick injuries that we do have in the matchups for this weekend. There's not many, but at least they're somewhat what we talked about is Justice Hill for Baltimore. Just uh he's been a good ying to Henry's yang. So I expect the Baltimore Ravens to run the ball with Derrick Henry quite a bit with Cincinnati's defense, like Megan said, but it's not. I think that, like you also said, I think they're just going to see how consistent they can be. That's really whatever's consistent, what's going to work. We talked about T. Higgins not playing, and then we also talked about Noah Gray not playing. So be sure to take a look, see who else is out there. There are plenty of other players, especially in those roles this week, that should be able to get something for you. All right, so that is going to be the end of part one. Like we said, really, really fast part one for you guys. We are going to have a part two on Saturday. Make sure you like and subscribe for us. We will go ahead and have comments. If there is any updated injuries before the games, we'll have it on this video. And then obviously check our exit game. So we have one more thing to say, Megan. What is that?
I feel like we should only say no one circles the wagons like and not say the other part because this is only part one.
I messed it up. Messed it up. All
Happy
right, guys.
Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving. We'll see you later. Saturday.